It all comes back to money.
This is the Keeping Your Money Show with Jamie Westenbarger and Bart Steindler.
Welcome back to the Keep Your Money Show. I'm Jamie Westenbarger, joined as always by Bart Steindler. If you're just tuning in, or you've been listening the whole time, we were talking about fees and investment accounts, what you should know, what you should understand, and really just understanding the value of what you're paying and whether that is commensurate with the cost, And everyone has a different set of values, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's no different in investing than it is in anything else. Some people value buying a luxury car because they like being treated the way that they're treated at the dealership. They like never having to worry about paying for service, whatever. Some people value buying, a very inexpensive car because it just doesn't matter that much to them, And I think the same thing can be said for houses and clothing and food and, everything. Well, you have to know where your set of values is in investing. And if it's important to you to have a professional kind of walk you through the next 30 years of your life and make sure that you're successful in your retirement, then it is going to cost more than being able to just, throw it in a pre-designed portfolio at some national company with an 800 number.
Yeah, it's more than that. I get what you're saying, but do you have the ability, or does the bargain route have the ability to get you a 30-year plan?
Sure. You have to be the person that knows how to do that yourself.
Yeah.
If that's the route you're going to go.
Right.
Because you're not going to get the guidance.
Right.
You're just not. Guidance isn't free.
So there's a lot of extra work on your part. It's not just, put it in there and say, oh, I got it done now.
Yep. All right, let's talk about this Wall Street Journal article. I thought it was pretty interesting. Actually, Nate dug it up. Nate Boonstra, who you hear on the show from time to time talking about millennials. He just has been looking for a house and has run into some problems with trying to even get to see one because it seems like they get sold before he even gets there. But Wall Street Journal acknowledging that maybe the next housing crisis is actually in the form of historically large shortages of housing at all. The homes to buy. There's people that want to buy them, but there just aren't enough of them out there because the recession created such a drought of buying that many people that were home builders or worked in the trades, they went and worked somewhere else. And now there just aren't enough people around to build the houses we need built.
A lot of the builders from the pre-2008 era would build what's called spec houses. It was really quite common. They'd get a tract of land and they'd build 3-4 houses at a time or maybe even more if they were a larger operation. And those houses weren't sold. And they would just figure, well, when it gets sold, I'll pay back the loan and everything will be good. But when 2008 hit and we had a recession, a lot of those people got stuck, and they had to juggle things around and get in uncomfortable situations with the bank in order to get those houses sold and get the bank paid off in that. And a lot of them are not willing to go that route again.
Sure.
And they'll only build a house if they have a buyer for it.
Yep.
And then that buyer is the one that's financing it.
And also not carrying large construction crews that they may ultimately not be able to use. They highlight a guy here in Grand Rapids named Bob Snowden, who's a home builder. And he says, in the mid-2000s, he was building 25 houses a year. Now he builds maybe 12. He's just not willing to carry the amount of carpenters and drywallers and everything around when he knows what 2008 looked like. I'm sure he suffered greatly, when that happened.
And it's a cyclical business. It always has been.
And then on top of that, you have double cost of construction between materials and land. And that kind of creates this perfect storm where, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, home construction per household, even a decade after the recession, we're in a booming economy. And we are at the lowest level seen in 60 years of record keeping. We're building less houses per household than we have at any time in the last 60 years. That potentially creates a real issue, especially for towns like we have here in West Michigan that are doing well, that are growing.
Yeah. I heard yesterday, too, there was a report on Trillia, and this kind of confirms what's in this article, and they were saying that there's a problem that there's not enough starter homes. The ones that are available are very small. They're very expensive, and a lot of them are not in very good repair. So that's an issue. If you're so what do you do if you're a young person or at any age really, and you're trying to buy that first home, and there's just not enough inventory?
Right. Well, and then you flip it to the other side. So you say, well, why don't they just rent? But rental prices are escalating. I just saw this new apartment complex downtown that's on the river that's gone in, and their 1-bedrooms are over 1,000. Their 2-bedrooms are 2,000, and they have 2-bedroom townhomes for 3,500.
Right.
3,500. I mean, that's Chicago pricing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's getting pretty crazy there. So what does a young person do? And that's or anyone that's on a tight income, or is trying to grow a family, or whatever, and it makes it really tough. And there are going to be some choices that need to be made. Whether it's in public policy or whatever, to try and make housing affordable. We don't want to turn into a small version of Palo Alto, where Facebook has to build an entire campus to house its employees because they can't afford to live anywhere near where they work.
This has been a problem in some resort areas across the country for many, many years. I know the area in Colorado that is a big ski part, Vail, has always had an issue with this, because nobody who works at the resort can afford to live there.
Yeah, you're not paying the staff at the hotel very much, and where are they going to live?
Right. So they're coming from 40, 50, 60 miles away to come and work service jobs in hotels and lift operation and maintenance and meal preparation and all that type of thing. Yeah. It's just a hard situation.
Well, and it potentially puts the growth of West Michigan and other areas around the country in jeopardy, because you can only grow as far as you can grow. If there's not inventory for people to move into the area, if there's companies that want to establish a presence here or grow their presence here, but there isn't a place for their employees to live, that becomes a real issue.
Yeah.
So the flip side of this, though, is if you're nearing retirement, especially if you're thinking you're going to leave the area or you're going to downsize or anything like that, it probably makes sense to at least consider what your options are. Your home could very well be worth a lot more than you think it's worth, just because of the shortage that's out there. If you have a nice family home in a nice community and school district here in West Michigan, the likelihood is it'll sell for a lot more than you think it'll sell for. So if your future intentions are, well, next year when Bob retires, we're headed to Florida, or we're headed to Arizona or Texas or something, it might not make a lot of sense to wait. It may make sense to sell today and rent for a year somewhere to start that downsizing process early, because you might be seeing top dollar, in some of these homes.
Sure. I've seen, I go to Arizona quite a bit, and I've seen a lot of people out there who are originally from the Eastern Seaboard, and they've sold their very, very expensive homes there, come out to Arizona, bought a nice, moderately priced home, and had several $100,000 available to help fund their retirement.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I do want to remind you, if you ever miss any part of the show, you can find it on our website. Just go to keepingyourmoney.com. You can always email me, info@keepingyourmoney.com, and I do respond to all of those emails personally. Coming up, we're going to talk about a plan that may allow student loans to be included in bankruptcy, something that really isn't allowed very much now. We'll talk about the pluses and minuses of that right here on the Keeping Your Money Show.
The ups and downs of a roller coaster are fun for some people, but maybe too nerve-wracking for others. The same is true for the ups and downs of the stock market. If your palms sweat when the market fluctuates, it may be time to reevaluate your investment choices. The ride to your financial future shouldn't keep you awake at night. Call the Keeping Your Money Show at 1-888-98-MONEY to get off the roller coaster and onto solid ground.